special pre-recorded session with Cherrilynn Bisbano, who is standing by and when I say by, I mean by herself. Okay, and we are going to switch to Studio 8 after this countdown. And I'm trying to bring Cherrilynn on board. My mouse is kind of sticky. Well, hey, Cherrilynn, you can hear me. I know you can hear me, but you can't see me. Mm-hmm. But Cherrilynn, we're having some technical difficulties, so I'm going to just kind of lean back and let you drive, as you have done so capably in the past, about a year ago.
Yes. It seems like I do. We have the knack of being the first of something. This is the first solo with Mark as God in the background. Where's that voice coming from? Right. Oh, God. Sorry, because I like to pre-record, because at night my brain doesn't work, and now lately with the post-concussion and everything that's been going on, my brain shuts down by 7. So I'm so glad we can do it like this. I'm so happy for everybody who's in our I can't even think. What do we call it?
The chat room.
Everybody's over the chat room. I could name everybody. Just in the chat room. I know Ben's over there, been praying for him, and JD and Catherine, and probably Rachel is going to be coming in right up from church. And I just love my PJ Net family. I haven't been on because of the concussion, because of the move, because my mom is really, her brain is deteriorating and she doesn't remember much. She forgot how to use a phone. And that was very heartbreaking. So, but I don't want to talk about, I just want to say this. I've been a believer for 31 years. And this time period over the last 2 months has been one of the most tumultuous times as a believer. And I can attest to God's faithfulness, because I have a smile and I'm sitting. I'm not standing, but I'm still sitting, and God is getting me through it. It's not easy. A lot of things going on, a lot of heartache, a lot of just stuff. I mean, moving in general, moving and starting a new job, and teaching for the first time at a writers' conference. I mean, it's like a roller coaster, Coach, but God is getting me through it. I take it like this, like if you can see my hand, this is the car for the roller coaster, and God's hand is the car. So no matter where you go, up or down, you're in the hand of God. But what I wanted to talk about tonight, I mean, did you see my memes online, Coach?
I have not been online until now, today. So no, tell us.
I've been asking, what does a World War II sailor, a shark, and a shark have to do with your Christian walk? And I want to, today is the 4th, be with you. Before I start my story about the World War II sailor and the shark repellent and the shark, I want everybody to, if you haven't read Rachel's, I'm looking at it right here. I'll keep my face up there because people don't want to see the top of my head. If you haven't seen Rachel's blog post about the source, is the source with you? Let me. It's called "May the Source Be with You." Rachel and I were talking, and she was telling me she needs some things to post, and she read this to me, "May the Source Be with You," and I started crying, happy tears. The source is one of the most powerful things I've ever had read to me. So if you haven't read it, you need to go read it. You can go to Rachel M. Coley's Facebook page, or you can go to Tattoo It on Your Heart, and maybe Rachel, if she's listening, can put it in the chat. But it's one of the most powerful, encouraging pieces I've ever had read to me, and it's just powerful. So please go read it, because today is May 4th. May the 4th be with you, but hers is May the Source be with you. And tomorrow is Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, and that is the anniversary of my father-in-law's death. He passed away in 2005, and he's the World War II sailor I want to talk about. When I first started dating my husband, went to meet the family, met his dad, and I told his dad that I was in the Navy, and his dad told me all about what happened. And the story I'm about to tell you, he told me. And unbeknownst to me, he never really talked about this, but he told me. And only a few other people, like family. And there he is right there, his name is Joseph Bisbano. And he was on the destroyer? I don't know if it was a destroyer. What was it? He was on a ship called the Lavalette, and they were in the Coral Sea. Well, he was telling me about this. So I think it was 1941 or 42. He was in charge of a bunch of men in the engineer room on the Lavalette in the Coral Sea during World War II. He went topside to get water for his men because he took good care of his guys. And when he went topside, this is during, there were Japanese planes trying to kamikaze them and things like that. And they were in the midst of a fierce battle. But he went topside because his men were so tired. His men were thirsty. He went to get water. When he was topside, the engine room was torpedoed and the ship started to sink. So what Joseph Bisbano did was he got on deck and he saw a fire all around, and he jumped into the water and he swam as far as he could, and until there was no fire over him, and he broke clear of the waves and stuff, and he was floating in the Coral Sea. And he was looking for any survivors. Well, he swam around for a while, and he found a raft that I think the raft holds 10 or 20 men. I don't remember. But Joseph Bisbano was a rule follower. Joseph Bisbano did what he was told. He wore all of the things that he was supposed to wear: his life vest, his shark repellent, everything he needed. So when he met the people in the raft, some people were hanging over the side because there wasn't enough room. And they let him in the raft, and the people who were really, really hurt, they let him stay in the raft. But what happened was, and Joseph was telling me this, Joe was telling me this, you could see the tears in his eyes as he said, the gentleman, my brothers in arms, who had to hang over the side because there wasn't enough room, didn't have their shark repellent on, and they were eaten by sharks. He watched some of the guys get eaten by sharks. And he always had his shark repellent on. And they finally got rescued. I think they were out there for 4 or 5 days. But when I heard this story, and a week later he had a stroke, and he didn't remember any more stories. He talked a little, he wouldn't have been able to tell me that story. So I know the Lord wanted me to hear this story for a reason. And I thought about it. We have an adversary who prowls around like a roaring lion, like those sharks, looking for those who are not fully equipped. And as Christians, do we have our complete armor on? Do we have our shark repellent? Do we have the word of God? Do we have the helmet of salvation? Do we have the breastplate of righteousness? The belt of truth? Are our feet ready and shod with the preparation for the gospel of peace? Do we have our shield and our sword? Do we have all this? Are we going to get devoured by the enemy? Now, Joseph Bisbano went on to have, if you want to put up the picture of him and his wife, he went back and got married. And he had 5 kids. And this man, because he was prepared, went on and invested his life into other people. I won't go into all the other stories, but God used him mightily. He was a godly man. He was a godly man. And he showed love and mercy and kindness to people. He was respected in the community. It was, his life really represented a lot. So why I wanted to come on was, first and foremost, Cinco de Mayo is the anniversary of his death, but also today is May 4th. And do we have the force in us? Are we fully equipped so that we can use that force? And most of us aren't. I know, Coach, I let my guard down and things happened, and it was devastating. And I'm still reeling from it, but God is helping me pick up the pieces. And this is what I wanted to say. I want to encourage all those who are listening, before you even get out of bed, before Joseph, even when Joseph got out of bed, he made sure he had his shark repellent, his everything that he needed while he was on that ship. And it saved his life. Do we have everything we need? Are we memorizing the word? Am I memorizing the word of God? Am I putting on the full armor every day? And it's weird not seeing you, Coach, because I can, when I see you, I know you want to say something. So, but I can't see you. So I want you to, I want you to just start talking.
Well, I can actually fix it to where you probably, no, actually, I can't. We'll get through this. Cherrilynn, that is a moving story, and what an appropriate time to share that. And I have watched many World War II documentaries, but none have been any more compelling than the one you just told. And there are many brave men and women who were prepared. And he did the right thing. He prepared. But he could have been his life could have been taken in so many other ways.
Yes,
He was prepared to live, but he was also prepared to die.
Yes, he was.
And
Yes,
you've
he
got to do
was.
both. You've got to do both. While you're here, we need to equip ourselves with the full armor, knowing
Amen.
that. And there's my favorite Bible verse is Jeremiah 29:11, which says, "I know the Lord knows the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." Folks, we are put on this planet for a reason. God had a plan before you were born, before you were knit in the womb. But Cherrilynn, when that plan is accomplished, it is time then to go home. So we need to be
Hmm.
prepared to live, and we need to be prepared to die. Wait, do not waste our. And the older I get, the more urgent that becomes.
And the one of the rules that, and I have to do some research on this because I went through air crew school, and we had to simulate jumping off an aircraft carrier that was, and with the fire around us, we had to simulate that in a pool. I forgot how high. I think it's 100 feet or more.
It's a long way to jump.
And we had an Olympic sized pool. This is what we had to do in air crew school. And I don't know if what Joe did initiated this, or if this was a procedure during the time Joe was on his ship. But either way, if it was already initiated, he did what he was supposed to do, and it saved his life. But in air crew school, what we do is we would have to jump straight down into the pool from 100 feet and swim underwater, Olympic-sized pool, all the way to the other side of the Olympic-sized pool underwater. And that, a lot of people couldn't do it. And I asked him, I said, how do you do it? I asked. And he said, well, the key is get on the bottom of the pool, and that's where there's least resistance, and pump your feet and arms as fast as you can. And when you feel like you can't breathe, pretend to swallow, just swallow. Don't swallow the water, but pretend to swallow, and it pops your ears and everything, and you feel like you get a breath, but you don't actually get a breath. And that's what I did, and I made it the first time.
Wow.
So it's God gives us, I don't want to say rules, but he gives us tools. And if we don't use them, we're going to find ourselves drowning, or in a place where we don't want to be. And I've done it. I've not used his tools. But when I apply his tools, like I am right now, going through this really tumultuous time, it's not easy, but God is with me, and I am using this sword. I am every morning. Oh, what is that?
That's
Is
the
it? Is that the alarm?
well, no, we still got 2 minutes. You're
Oh,
reminding me
yeah,
of
what
that
I was,
verse.
yeah. See, you get sidetracked, like your bell. The alarms go off, and you're not
Oh,
following what God has you to do. When we're obedient, wonderful things happen. And I know everybody who's in the chat room can attest to this. I know they can. They've been through it. I mean, we've been through stuff with JD, with Ben, with Doug, with Rachel, with Catherine, with Stephanie, and a lot of others have been through some difficult times, and they were obedient, and God got them through them. And you too. And you too.
you've reminded me of that verse that says when we're tempted, God always provides a way out. And as you were talking about, diving off the ship, you've got to get one. You got to get off the ship that's sinking. If it's sinking, you've got to abandon. But there's a lot of people don't know. A ship that large, if you don't swim away from that ship, when it goes down, it's like flushing a toilet, and it will
Yes.
take you down. The vacuum of it sinking
Yes.
will take you down so far that you won't be able to get to the top before you run out of breath. So it's
Or
not
the
enough
fire.
just to
Yes.
avoid going into sin. We've got to get away from it. Okay,
We have to
well,
run, yes.
run,
And
get as far
there's
away
two
as you
things
can.
that you said. There's the ship going down and getting caught in the vortex, and then there's the fire that's always around the ship because of the explosions
Yeah,
and stuff. And you can't come up in the middle of a fire. You can't
right.
breathe.
The fuel is floating on the water on fire. So A lot of lessons there. Cherrilynn, we're praying for you, hon. I know
Oh, I'm
you're
going to
going
be
through a lot.
okay. Thank you.
I mention you in prayer each day, as I do
Oh,
my entire PJ
thanks.
Net family. Each day when I do my devotions, I just mention, hey, Lord, and He knows the needs, and He has always been faithful to respond to them. And we're going to get, not only are you going to get through it, we are going to get through this together. The Bible reminds us to share our joys and our burdens. So, Cherrilynn, you are not alone. God is with you, and we are with you, and we appreciate you in spite of all that, and in spite of the technical problems,
And
sharing
I
your
want to
story.
say one thing before we sign off. I love everybody in the chat room and I pray for everybody, but we're going to represent PJ Net at Blue Ridge.
That is exciting news. I can't find my mouse. I think I'm having computer problems here today. It's been a long one, folks. But Cherrilynn, thanks for sharing, and we love you, and we'll see
And
you.
thanks everybody for putting up with just looking at me and not Coach.
Well, that's probably a relief to them. So, all right, my girl, appreciate you. All right, that was Cherrilynn Bisbano, and we're going to wind it up by asking two questions. First, what is the boldest thing that you've ever done for Jesus Christ? And second, how long ago was that? And the challenge is to never be satisfied with either answer.